Welcome to the Growth Boss podcast, where we seek out the secrets to high-performing campaigns from some of the smartest marketers in the world. I'm your host, Jared Smith. Today, I have Gary Osburg with me, and he's going to teach us how he doubled leads on a rank and rent site using AI. Gary, thanks for being here today.
Hello, good to be here.
Awesome. So, Gary, for people who may not know you, can you give us kind of a quick 60-second overview of your background?
60 seconds, sure, yeah. So I've been in SEO for only about 4 years. I got interested through looking to buy online businesses. I saw Empire Flipper's ad. I then, from that, got interested in affiliate marketing and affiliates content sites. I had a couple of years where I had some sites that grew quite well. I was constantly kind of ducking the Google ban hammer, if you like, the update hammer.
Yeah.
And then actually January 2023, I was at a point where I had to make a decision. I thought, do I put my time and resources into continue to try and recover and grow the sites I've got, or do I kind of scratch the rank and rent lead gen itch, which I've been aware of for a couple of years?
Yeah.
I decided to go for option B. So I decided to start getting into lead gen. Rank and rent is the popular term, but obviously it covers a wide variety of business models. And yeah, from there I've been growing my portfolio since then, and here I am today.
And for people who are debating whether or not they should switch maybe from affiliate marketing to the rank and rent lead gen model, how has that transition been for you?
I mean, I kind of, not entirely on purpose, but chose precisely the right moment because, as you'll know, since 2023 and 2024 has been a particularly hard time for Google updates and for people that are running traditional small niche affiliate sites and content sites. So that was just serendipity in terms of my decided to make the move at that point. But I'd say that it's been an interesting journey as an SEO because you learn a lot more when you have a lot more sites on the go.
Yeah.
Like the traditional, let's say, niche site, you might have 2 or 3 sites, right? Maybe less. You might have one that you're all in on. When you're doing lead gen local sites, you're producing quite a lot. I think I've got about 22 sites now, not all rented. Some are test, some are at various stages of the progress, but you have opportunity to test things out and try things across multiple sites, which are perhaps unconnected in various ways, but will show the same results or different results, and you get to see some quite interesting, SEO results. So it's been and you see unexpected things. You see things which you think might be low competition in the traditional world being quite hard work in local, and vice versa. There's not really a correlation, I don't think, between what you consider a high ticket niche or a niche that make more money and the difficulty.
Yeah,
whereas
I would agree.
If you're doing an affiliate site, right, if you're doing mattresses tomorrow, good luck with that, right?
Right.
But you can make a lot of money down the weeds of local lead gen with some really crazy stuff. So
Absolutely. And one of the most well-known rank and renters I'm aware of is James Dooley, which I've heard his empire is about $100 million a year. So, if you can scale up, this method long enough, obviously he's been doing this for a long time, it can be substantial. So, yeah. Well, let's dive in. Maybe you can start by giving the audience a little bit of background on kind of what strategies you were using before, and then how you incorporated AI and the results from that.
Yeah, so I've always kind of approached lead gen sites. I try not to say rank and rent because you're not always rank and renting. There's various ways that you can do this. I approach them with the same, I guess, methodology and tactics and analysis and design that you would apply to building an affiliate site or a content site. So a lot of people come into this niche or this kind of model and they see that because these sites are generally low competition in the context of the whole internet, they think that you can just slap up anything pretty much and rank. That is true in some cases. A lot of the time it's not, but my approach to it was always to take the same level of analysis and kind of research that I do for any sort of content site. So my initial plan was to find what I would perceive to be a low competition niche and then build out sites for every large town in my county. So a county is kind of like a state in the UK. It's a broad governmental area. You'll have a number of towns which are all, I don't know, let's say 100 to 200,000 population, which is kind of your sweet spot for a lot of the traditional rank and rent. And I started doing that. I built built a few sites. I then realized that one thing that I learned was that actually in local, it seems to be the case that you just have a lot of other similar sites you're competing against for low competition stuff. So I don't know, let's say carpet cleaning as an example, quite a common one. Carpet cleaning as a niche is a low barrier to entry trade. So
Yep.
pretty much anyone can go and buy some machines quite cheaply
Totally.
and start doing it, right? Yeah. As a result, you've got like hundreds of carpet cleaning websites, right, wherever you go. And they're all pretty much the same, right? To make yourself stand out, it's quite difficult, because even if you do a good job, there's not that much that you can put on a carpet cleaning website, right? So you've got lots of other similar sites, and I found that for that, for example, I was quite surprised at how long it took me to kind of get that site to page one. I thought I'd be there in a month, and it took me about 6 months. And so then from there, I kind of started looking at other niches. And for the specific example I'm going to show you, this was a very random conversation that I had with a friend of a friend who has a haulage company. So haulage in the UK, in the US, you call it trucking. It's like transport of stuff.
Sure.
And he mentioned that he was looking to expand his business, and he was looking to hire someone to do the marketing. And I said, very honestly, I was like, look, I've got this background with websites. I've started doing this particular thing. I have no idea about how well I'll get on with your particular business, but like, if you want to give it a go, let's partner up and start running a site. And he said yes, and we went from there.
Yeah.
And the site, I'd say it followed a traditional niche site trajectory in terms of time. So it probably, I'll show you a couple of screenshots in a second, but yeah, I think it was about 6 to 9 months that it started to actually really start to get organic leads, and then it kind of took off generally. But one of the kind of conversations we had at the start was it's a B2B business, right? Business to business mostly. He wanted to attract contracts with other companies that want to, I don't know, they've got a warehouse, they want to move every week, they want to move 2 trucks full of orange juice from A to B, right? You try doing keyword research, that sort of thing, like there's not a lot of volume for people typing in move 100 cases of orange juice every week, right? Yeah, so it kind of falls down a little bit. The traditional keyword research methods fall down a bit for some of those stuff. And I had an honest conversation with him where I said, okay, we can get to the top of Google for like generic terms, like, I don't know, like haulage in your area, right? We can do that. I said, that's probably what people are typing in. If someone's looking for a haulage, they're typing that in, but we just don't know. Like, let's see how it goes. And we got to like, within about 6 months, position 5, then position 3. We're now position 1 for that, the area. And as a result, we are actually getting all those B2B inquiries, which is quite interesting. I think in some analysis, he's getting about, well, it's growing. It's averaged 50 leads a month for the last few months. It's now more like 70. And about 20% of those are these contractual things, right? So
that's amazing. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And
that's great.
Yeah.
Going from nothing, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy just looking at you wouldn't find this stuff with keyword research, right? You're just not going to ever think of or dive into this or find the results. And it took me work, I think it's probably I'm going to say 3 to 5 grand UK kind of investment in the site to kind of get to that point. But so that's kind of got him his main haulage inquiries, if you like. But there's specific types of stuff that he wants to do, specific types of jobs that are really good value for him. Things like moving like farm machinery, for example. Like someone wants to move or construction machinery. They want to move a great big digger from A to B.
Yeah.
And we've kind of niched down on a couple of those. And I'm going to show you an example of how we did that.
Yeah.
So how we kind of targeted those specific queries after finding that they existed, and then how we basically doubled the leads that he got for those jobs, and that enabled me to then pretty much double what he's paying because the numbers are all there, right? So
that's fantastic. Yeah, let's take a look at those charts. I would love to show the audience kind of the before and after there.
Okay, so quickly coming to the AI point. The way that I did this was to, as I said earlier, differentiating yourself with on-page SEO, even if you're ticking all the boxes and answering all the questions and getting the headings in the right place. There's often not a lot of kind of general stuff on the internet about this, right? If you go to another high-performing page, number 1, they might have like, we move tractors, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how do we, apart from doing the off-page, obviously I'm still working on the links, but how do we increase the relevance of this site for that type of term? And obviously you're doing it through blog content, right? The sort of
Yes.
topical authority is the commonly accepted term. So, however, firstly, I wanted to try and do this quickly in terms of my time input. Producing lots of research and content takes a while. Secondly, I was kind of interested in, over the course of the last year, in the way that Google seemed to be perhaps targeting over optimization, where there are lots of traditionally, if you're writing a blog, you'll go and find a long tail keyword. I don't know, best feeder for badgers or something like in the UK, and you go and write about that, and then people go and find lots of long tail keywords and have lots of articles with those keywords, and lots of those sites were getting hit. And I was interested in the fact that also understanding that Google understands the semantic linkages between terms and words, and not necessarily having to have all your keywords in your headings all the time.
Yep.
I thought, okay, let's create a method which enables us to basically provide all the information that Google and readers need to know, right, when they come to their site, without having potentially kind of an obviously over-optimized sort of blog structure.
Right.
That was a good, and I came up with a process that I'll show you now, which just uses ChatGPT or your large language model of choice to kind of produce a kind of blog outline, which you think can then go and produce and put on your site.
Yep.
So
beautiful.
I'll show you a couple of things.
There we go. We've got it.
Good stuff. Okay, so you've got a couple of Search Console snips here from a couple of sites that I did this on. One is the transport site that I mentioned, the haulage site. The other one is a standard plumbing site, right? So the background to this one is that in the UK we have plumbing, obviously central heating. Central heating in the UK usually involves gas. It involves boilers. So boilers heat water, heats your home, heats your hot water. The boiler work is incredibly competitive, both from an SEO and an ad point of view, because like a guy that installs a boiler can make, I don't know, £1,500, like £2,000 US, like from an afternoon's work from replacing one of these things, right? It's free. So everyone wants to do it, right? Once you've got your certificates and your gas certifications, they all want to do it. However, there's a kind of subset of a sub niche of boilers, which is actually a lot less competitive, and not quite as profitable, but still very profitable. And the guy that's on this site, he wanted to do more of those. So I said, okay, let's work out how to do that without spending a lot of money. So for both of those, I produced some silos of content with the process that I'm going to show you, published them. You can see when the silos went live. These would generally be, let's say, 10 articles on average, and they get published at once. So they're all written in the background, put on the site, drafted, internally linked, bang, goes live, indexed at once. So you can see here, I've blanked out the queries for obvious reasons, but there's the particular stuff that people are looking for. Yeah, you can see the jump. So on the plumbing site, it's basically nothing up to this point, and all of a sudden, bang, you're getting all the search volume. And the haulage site, transport site, was getting some traction on this, but you can see it jumps from here.
Yeah.
In terms of the clicks as well, this is just a kind of general point on local lead gen. Compared to your, again, the clicks and page views are a big metric for affiliate sites, or particularly for content sites that run ads. For lead gen sites, your traffic can be like nothing in terms of what you're looking for on another site to make money.
Right.
You're still making a lot of money because the conversions from these, right? So you look at this one here, the transport site. It's not a very not a very big term. There's not a lot of search volume.
Yeah.
But as I said, the number of leads, inquiries for this particular type of haulage sort of doubled from this, tripled from this. So
so that's the amazing thing. I mean, it shows maybe a click or so a day for the podcast listeners who can't visually see this, but they're still generating a substantial number of leads, which makes me feel like almost every single one of the people that visit the site is probably converting, right? Or at least a super high percentage.
It's a super high percentage. I mean, I think I haven't actually done the numbers on this. Actually, there's a difference between these two that I'll explain in a second. But definitely for the bottom one, like it's at least 50% of visitors are
incredible
inquiring, right?
Yeah.
And he's converting 50% of those. His conversion rate's very high. So look at 94 clicks. That's a quarter 94. Roughly 23 leads, if you like, and these are worth like I don't know, $1,000 to him. So boom, you're
fantastic
laughing at this.
Yeah.
The top one, the plumbing site, actually, interestingly, a lot of the terms this ranks for it. Well, they both rank nationally. Actually, the blog content will rank nationally because it's broad keywords like, I don't know, how much does it cost to replace this type of boiler type thing. So on the plumbing side, we're getting a lot more general traffic, which isn't as specific to leads, but we still get, again, it had the same effect in terms of lead flow, that type of service. But that's why you see the clicks are much higher on the plumbing one.
Yeah. So for context, can you dig into a little bit of how much content was on the site before? Was it AI written or was it human written? And then you have kind of the markers here when your silo was published. How much did that increase the content? Was that like 1,000% increase in content, or what was the content mix like?
I think on probably a higher percentage on the transport site, but the basic setup I'll have for all sites is the homepage, your kind of standard, I don't know, about us, contact us, privacy policy type boilerplate stuff. That's there for every site. So say 5 pages for every site by default. Then you'll have a page for each main service that the company offers. So again, if it's transport, it's like general haulage, moving machines, moving shipping containers, moving XYZ. That will vary between niche. So you might find some niches have maybe even 2 or 3 services. Some will have more like a plumbing site. If you're doing everything, you're going to have like 20 or 30, right? But I think this one's probably got about 20 service pages, and then area pages. So depending on the geographic location that you're covering, you're going to have a page for each kind of major population center that's worth having a separate page for itself. So I would probably estimate most of my sites are between 10 and 20, probably 10 to be honest. So an average site for me is probably going to be 25 pages, I guess.
Okay, so that's not a ton.
No, it's not, and they're all quite. The area pages are all going to be very similar. I'll show you the way I do area pages in a second as well. But if you're adding like a silo of 10 blog pages, that's obviously quite a big increase in the size of the site, but it's still not a big site.
Yep, exactly. Okay, that's good. And then what tool are you using to produce the content?
So my personal favorite for getting words on paper is Koala Writer.
Okay.
I have not really tried that many of the other AI writers, to be honest. I think back to your question about how was the content generated on these sites originally, a bit of a mixture, I would say. I think for a lot of local lead gen stuff, you can kind of, I write a lot of it myself, a lot of it's fairly straightforward, right? It's in your area, we do X, Y, and Z. You have to be a great writer, thank God, to actually produce. You're not producing great content in a traditional way. I've used actually a couple of tools. There's one that's completely gone out of my head now. I'll try and find it.
We'll drop it in the show notes.
Yeah. But what it does is it goes and Page Rewriter Pro. That's the one. So what that does is it will go and if you put a search term in, it will go and find all your like the top 10 competitors' pages, and then show you all their headings and all their paragraphs. And it basically just passes out the HTML, so you can see a master list of all the headings, all the paragraphs, all the content, and you can kind of just mix and match and go put that in there, put that in there, put that in there. And if you want to, it can then rewrite it. And I think I did that for a lot of the kind of first pass on both of these. And then I tend to just go through and just eyeball it and change it.
What about content length? Do you find that makes a big difference? 500, 750 words, or
for the traditional page types, I don't really tend to pay that much attention, as long as I'll look at what the competitors are doing and make sure that I've covered the same stuff, but maybe in more detail. Word length itself, I'm not really concerned with. For the blog content, you will give an input to in my case, to Koala to say, produce this many words or this length. And I'd probably go for it tends to overwrite. If you say do 1,000 words, it will give you 1,500 kind of thing. So I kind of just go, give me 800 and it'll give me 1,000. And I say about 1,000 words is probably going to be enough for most of these, because these types of blogs are pretty specific, right? Like, where should I put this type of boiler in my house in England?
Sure.
Not going to be writing a whole lot about that. So I guess word count is something that I would probably pay attention to if other people were publishing the same stuff and they were out competing me, but okay,
Yeah.
need some more content in here, but
Yeah.
don't really pay much attention.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay. Very good. Yeah. You've got a couple other slides. We can definitely go to the next one.
Yeah, so I was going to show you just literally what I do to get to this
Yeah.
point.
Let's look at it.
So as I said, the idea was to come up with a process which could basically get all the information that a reader or user would want to have about a topic on the site without doing too much kind of traditional keyword research or any keyword research in this case. So these are the prompts I use. So you can use your large language model of choice. I think day to day it changes for me and what I prefer. At the moment I'm using ChatGPT, but next week I might be using Claude because it might be better. Like these things seem to fluctuate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll show you. I'll just talk through these, and then if you want, again, just copy and paste these into the show notes if people want to go and
Yep,
use these
exactly.
themselves.
Yep.
Go crazy, and then we'll work through an example, and you can see it happening. So the first thing is to get a general list of all the questions that someone might ask. So you put in the service you're providing, the geographical area. This is quite important because specifically for me, because in the UK and the US, which are the kind of two main big markets for rank and rent, but also anywhere else in the world, there's going to be different terms and different things that people use for a particular service. So HVAC, for example, as a concept is quite well known in the US, but it's not really understood in the UK, and it means slightly different stuff. So HVAC in the US tends to cover a lot of the same things, which in the UK would be covered by what you call a heating engineer or something,
Okay.
right? So you just want to make sure that when you're prompting the AI, you're being very specific about where you are so that it's using the right types of, it's going to output the right type of information, which makes sense. So yeah, for this service in this particular place, list all the questions a person from this country would have. Searching on Google might have about the subject, cover all questions under the categories of what, where, why, who, when, how. What this is going to do is what it looks like. It's going to give you a list of questions.
Yep.
So then you want to try and get it to organize that a bit for you, an outline of what that might look like as a set of logical articles. So again, create a blog content plan for a service in this country, website blog section covering the questions listed above. So in the previous answer, list all the blog articles that should be written to fully cover the subject of this service, and note which articles answer these questions. So that's going to go, you've got this raw list of questions, and it's going to go, okay, here's the titles, and it will contain this information. For me, often that's enough, because then you can go and take that output. I can go into Koala Writer, for example, and I can use the output that it's given me as headings. So where it's got the questions, you can just put those headings in your content plan in that tool.
Yeah.
But however, if you want to get lazier and go further, there's a few extra things you can do. So create a blog content plan table for your last answer, showing the article title, subtitles for its key sections, and a list of the semantic entities and LSI keywords it should cover for good SEO optimization.
Mm-hmm.
The further that sentence goes along, I think the fuzzier it gets in terms of how good your output's going to be. Like
Yep.
when you say good SEO optimization, I think an AI tool is going to have various ideas about what that should be. But basically, you're saying just organize this list and give me a list of entities, and I can use those. Then you can take it as far as you want. Like the next prompt just basically gets it to give you a title, a table that says this article internally linked to this article. So you're kind of just logically seeing where you're going to want to link, because from a structural point of view, where I would work it is if you have a service page. So the example I gave you on this one here is, let's say for these two, I've got the service page, which is what we want to rank. So I don't know, moving farm machinery, for example. So every page in that silo that gets created from this is going to be an internal link back to that page, but it's also going to link internally between each other where it's logical to do so, as you would normally do. So yeah, you can once you've got this list, you can just keep on iterating and keep on asking it to give you more and more stuff.
So yeah, a couple quick questions on this. The first is, geographical area, I would almost wonder if it would be better, and I'm in the US, to say, plumbing services in the US, so that I could get as many different topic ideas as opposed to like I live in a small city. Is that not a good way to look at it?
Good question, actually. I think the general purpose of that geographical area bit is to filter out, say, just keep things relevant. But there might be differences in the way that things are referred to, particularly in the US, I guess, between where you are in Florida versus the other end in Washington State or whatever. Like,
Sure.
they're probably going to have a different name for this pen. I don't know. Maybe you don't, but
Sure.
You might find that by doing that, you're going to get the more narrowly you focus it, the more specific you'll make it to that area, and that may or may not have a benefit for ranking, because Google might associate those entities with that area.
Okay.
Maybe not. It depends. But yeah, if you make it broad, you're going to get more, I suppose. So you could have you could do it twice. You could say, and it might even be worth us trying that just to see what happens. Say, for this service in the US, do this, and then go refine this for Florida or for however far you want to go, and just see what happens.
Okay. And then approximately how many suggestions is it going to give you from these prompts? Is this like going to produce maybe 20 ideas, 100 ideas?
It's probably going to vary a lot, actually, on how broad your topic is.
Okay.
But I'd say like 20 probably.
Okay.
As just a rough guess, but you can try it out if you want.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah. Okay. Get the next slide, because I think that's okay. That's areas, so we'll come back to that later.
Yeah.
So we got ChatGPT. Let's pop a prompt in and go and see what happens. So, okay, over to you, Gary. What do you want to do and where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's do plumbing services in.
Okay.
Let's start with Tampa, Florida, which is, I would say, like a mid-sized market here in the US. And then let's do the same thing, and we'll just do for the United States as a whole after this and just see what pops up.
Okay. So let's have a US. Let's say US citizen, because it's going to be really clear on what that is.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Let's see what it does. There you go.
Yeah, we go.
Okay. So what plumbing types are available? What do they cost? What types of issues can they handle? What are the best rated? This is interesting when it starts giving you other companies. Licenses and certifications, yep. What's included in standard service? What should I look for? What kind of problem? Okay, so there's a little bit of duplications here.
Yep.
Okay. Where can I find plumbers? Where can I get quotes? Where can I find reviews? Where can I look for fraud? Where can I find water heater? Okay, so this is something that you could do the whole process just for that. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why should I hire these people? Why is my water bill so high? Why are plumbers so expensive? I mean, okay, so it's giving you a lot, right? That's a fairly okay. It's good. It's also quite broad. It's not, apart from where it's talking about things like leaks or sewer line repair or water heaters, it's kept everything quite specific to just plumbing, but actually you can see there's some quite specific stuff here.
Absolutely.
Like
yeah.
Look after plumbing in here. Okay. So let's then do the next bit. Right. So blog content plan for let's say do you want to go with Florida plumber or just, okay.
Yeah,
so
let's do Florida.
Florida plumbing website, blog section, cover the question, plumbing. Okay.
Yep, and I think Florida just needs an A there. Yep.
Yes.
There you
go. Florida plumbing is quite different.
It is.
Florida plumbing, I wouldn't encourage it.
No.
Right. Okay. Let's wait for the. This stuff's interesting, actually. How do I file a complaint against plumber? This is that you can see the US kind of.
Yeah, and again, it kind of goes back to the topical map, and maybe writing about that. Again, I'm not sure you really need or want to rank for that, but maybe that sends Google a signal of like, hey, these guys really do know everything there is to know about, Tampa, Florida plumbers.
Yeah, and you know what? That would be a good way for you on your site to have to kind of sell yourself, right? So a page about how do I file a complaint against plumber in Florida? Then you can say, here's our processes, here's our accreditations, here's reasons that we're good, and you wouldn't need to do that, right? So you can kind of turn that around, and that will help as well.
Yep.
Also, just Beyond point, what we're not really doing, this is kind of, if you're doing a whole topical map, if you like, there's quite a few other things you would do, but this is just it's a step, right? So this definitely isn't how to create a topical map, it's how to create a silo which works.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so what it's done is it's ordered now all these questions that we see, and it's gone, okay. So you've got a alternate guide of plumbing services. Okay. Yeah. So you're getting some quite high level questions in there being answered. Types of plumbing service, what should we look for? Best plumbing companies. Again, this is one that you might not want to include because it's just going to be a list of competitors basically. So you might leave that one out. Costs are great for lead generation, rank and rent sites. If you can ever indicate accurate cost indication, people love that. It will increase your conversion rate. I'm not 100% certain if it helps that well with ranking. It probably does, but anything you can do to talk about cost is always going to be great for your conversion.
Yep.
Yeah. Emergency plumbing services. To be honest, this is probably covered off on a service page specifically, so you wouldn't necessarily have a blog post about this. Yep, licensing and certifications, 100%. That's quite specific as well. I guess in the US, you're going to have different, I don't know what the word is, like licensing by state or by town. Yeah.
Yep.
So you got a good opportunity here to put some information in there, chuck some semantic relevance in there. These always does this. Why should I not do stuff myself? Yep. Obviously, because you shouldn't do it yourself, because you should pay us to do it. That's the answer. Common problems. Yeah, this would be good if it can be. You can keep this to Tampa specific stuff, like it's humid, so stuff rusts. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Water heater services. That would probably be a service page. Permits in Tampa. I guess that probably be covered under this one. Probably. Seasonal maintenance, that's a good one. Like you might have at different times of year. I don't know. Tampa's probably fairly consistent with its climate.
It is.
Like,
yeah, it's pretty consistent. Yep.
Okay. So, but this is a good one. When's a busy season in Tampa? Should I book for this?
Right.
Eco-friendly solutions. Yeah. I mean, whatever that means, could be good. Specialized stuff, again, probably a service page type thing, but this might give you an idea for service pages, actually, to be honest, if you're at that point of researching the website. This one, if it's got accurate answers about the service infrastructure. Finding the right plumber. These ones can be quite useful. It's like how, what you look for. You look for reviews. You're looking for recommendations. If you've got those on your own site, great.
Yep.
And water quality. Yeah, I mean, that's probably quite. Again, so where I am in the UK, we have specifically around with very hard water. It's a high mineral content, and everything in your house scales up with lime scale, which is like mineral deposits inside. I don't know if you guys have that, but that's a specific thing which a plumber in the area would know about and would be able to handle and advise on. So that's great. So to your question, that's 15. I think we probably discounted maybe 4 or 5 of those, but you've got at least 10 kind of relevant things about plumbing. If this was my site, I probably would do that, and then I would do the same process again for like water heaters or whatever else you think you want to be.
One of the big services, right? Yeah.
And you can then take this and I would go and pop this into Koala and do the configuration, do that. You can use whatever method you prefer to create content. You've kind of got a pretty good starting point here.
I love it. Okay. This is very helpful.
Cool. Let's try this one. Just try the next 2 and see what happens. So, nothing to change here. So create a blog content plan for your last answer. Showing the article titles, subtitles, list of entities. Okay. Let's see. LSI keyword, a topic of debate within SEO, but I think it's worth covering the basis.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in my opinion, it doesn't hurt, right? I mean, maybe it gives you a couple extra interesting ones, and maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, and to be honest, as I said earlier, at this point, unless you've kind of built up a bit of some previous prompts to explain exactly what you mean by LSI keywords and kind of prime the AI, I'm not 100% sure that doing this is going to give you, without further prompting, it's going to give you anything particularly useful, but it's not going to hurt.
Right.
And we will see an output here, which is the kind of main point of the exercise.
Yeah.
We have a table. Okay, yes, that's pretty cool.
I was going to say, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So for those who can't see this, he's got some subtitles for each blog post along with the semantic entities and LSI keywords. I think that's pretty handy.
Yeah, I mean, this is
at least a good starting point. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I think to a large degree, it's kind of organized its previous output, but it's quite handy that it's given us this. So then, okay, and it's given us some a bit of AI opinion on
right
on SEO optimization. Thanks, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Okay, so might as well try the last one and just to see what happens. So for those that can't see, what we're trying is the.
And while we're waiting for this, a couple quick questions. You mentioned it takes about 3,000 to 5,000 to get one of these rank and rent sites rolling. Probably using a template site, using a bit of AI. Is the bulk of that going to like links, or how would you break that out?
I think that was probably the example that I used for that site, that haulage site. There's kind of a baseline for me, which for me to get a site, a decent site up with all the content it needs and all the kind of foundational off-page elements like citations, for example, and other types of like basic links. I budget around about £1,000, so like $1,200. I think that number varies a lot. Some people can do it a lot cheaper. I don't kind of include my own labor in that, but that's kind of what it costs me, because I quite often I'll pay a VA to do. I'll pay like $300, for example, to kind of build the site. I'll be spending money on AI credits for writing, even if it's cheap. You're still spending a certain amount. Your citations, it kind of adds up to that for me. And then it's just how much it costs in links, really, from that point. Yeah, I do tend to build links more than some local people might, but that's it's your call. Okay. Right. So we've got an article. So yeah. Okay. Cool. So it's given us the outline from the article. It's given us the other articles that it listed, and then it's got your anchor text. So yeah, I mean, some of these, if you look at the anchor text here, yeah, it's basically giving you the article title. So you might have to play around with these, but I'd probably reprompt this one. No, I mean, not necessarily like, finding the right plumber is probably giving half decent anchor text for an article at finding the right plumber. So yeah, again, it's a starting point, and it's at least it's given you an idea of which articles probably should link to what.
Yeah. So exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that took us, most of the time was spent waiting for the AI, right?
Right.
There's not a lot of.
But it really gives you a nice jump start there.
Yeah. I'd say that for me to produce those silos that I showed you that had the results in the previous picture, took 2 or 3 hours of work, I guess, end to end, to get them, to go through this process, get them written, get them published, tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it will get you very quickly to a point where you've got quite a decent kind of topical coverage of a specific thing,
right?
Without too much effort.
Okay, very good. And I believe you had one more slide, one more example you wanted to share.
Yeah. So the other one is about how I do area pages. So generally speaking, an area page is going to be, all the area pages in your site are going to be very, very similar. Yeah, your area page, or the way I do it, is basically, it's like a mini homepage, really. You'll have kind of the same header with the same basic points and the call to actions and the forms and everything, and then a list of the services in that area. But what I found very useful is to have a unique bit on each area page, which will relate information specific to that area and semantic entities specific to that area to the service that you're offering. So, and I'll show you through this in a second. And the area pages are kind of getting almost as many or more impressions and kind of clicks as the main homepage, and they're all optimized like this, and they're specific, right? They're all like, water heater repair in this town. Which, if you look at it, these towns are like 20,000 people, right?
Right, exactly.
If it's worth doing, but yeah, definitely picking up that, and they're ranking quicker. So it seems to work for me. So
I love it.
So the way we do it is to side talk it, but the quickest place to get, hang on, let me show you here. The quickest place to get a lot of information, a lot of just raw information about an area quickly is Wikipedia, because the example that you see here is just a snip from the Wikipedia page for Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to a page for a geographical location, you're always going to get this section on the right hand side that just has all this, the city area, its elevation above sea level, which it might be relevant to some things like how windy it makes it. I don't know. It's got population density. I don't know, time zone, zip code. Zip codes are really useful actually.
Yeah.
You put those into the URL for the area page, and it does a great job. So yeah, so the quick way to do it is to go. Okay, we've got a prompt here. You're a service provider that does serve this area. Using the following information about this area, write an introduction to the area page of your website, using as many pieces of information as possible in a natural and relevant way that links to your provision of the service in the area. And then I'll just copy and paste and dump it into the prompt. So let's try this for Tampa, Florida. I'll just go and copy the prompt. Okay, so you can see we've got this. Here we go. We've got this information down the side here. So quite a lot here. Right. So ChatGPT, you are a plumbing service provider that serves Tampa, Florida. Now, Tampa. To the Tampa area page. Can't say Tampa too many times here. Blah blah, and blah blah blah. Plumbing services in the area. Okay, so now we'll go to Wikipedia. We'll just go. I'll just copy from here just as a. Let's get the coordinates. I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows? Yeah, let's get it all right. So we've got this bit. We'll copy that into ChatGPT. Do that. Okay, let it think. One thing I'll say about this is that this can take a bit of reprompting. Sometimes it might either give you, I don't know, it might come with something about the water. Okay, there's a lot of water here, right?
Sure.
Only plumbers, I don't know. That might be relevant. Some of this stuff's quite funky, and you have to make it sound more natural. But ideally, it's going to get some useful kind of semantic data in there that's going to just help differentiate that page. Okay. There you go. Located at
nice.
Okay. You might not necessarily want to put the coordinates in there, but
maybe at the bottom or something. But yeah.
So this is all. I mean, yeah,
it's at least a starting point and a cheap one at that.
Of course, absolutely. So I think I probably would nudge this a bit and just sort of go. It's okay. Yeah. I wonder if we tried. Sorry, let's try it for air conditioning. I wonder if that's going to make any. Right, let's copy all that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it should say something like it's hot and humid and at this blah 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 air conditioning. Yeah. So while it's doing that, I mean, you still got. Yeah, there you go. Look, with Tampa's elevation of proximity to so much water,
exactly.
If there's loads of water, the plumbing's going to break. Yeah. Okay. It's not bad. And that in itself, you can play with this, but it's going to give you your area page kind of a step up from every other area page, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, there you go. So aircon with an elevation of just 48 feet and large portion kind of water, maintaining a cool and comfortable environment home is crucial. Hot, humid summers, mild winters. Yeah. Okay, so this stuff is a little bit more accurate. So you can just keep on
pumping it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, quick, cheap,
Yep.
or free, effective,
Very.
get stuck in.
And so if somebody's new to this and they're like, okay, I'm going to knock out, a couple of these websites as a test, get some links
Mhm.
going to it, get my content up. How do you determine what to charge for this? Like you said, maybe you're charging per lead, maybe you're renting it out per month. Like, how does that work?
So that's a good question because it comes back to the overall business model. So if we zoom out from the SEO,
Mm-hmm.
one of the main differences about this model versus again the traditional affiliate type stuff that I talked about is that you can't just do this from your bedroom, right? This is well, you can, but you're not on your own. This is much close. Well, this is a proper business, right? You're creating something which creates a product or service which you have to sell to people in the real world.
Yep.
And because of that, there's kind of different components. So starting from one end, you've got the way that you create the leads online. So that traditionally that's going to be pretty much SEO. You might be running ads. You might be good at social media. Basically, you've got some sort of mechanism which is people are finding a service and making contact. Then you've got the structure, the way that the deal structure with the person that's going to receive that. And that deal structure could be, as you said, it could be a pay per lead where they're paying, I don't know, $50 every time the phone rings. It could be a commission deal where they're paying you 10% every time they go and do a job and complete it. Or it could be a flat monthly fee where they pay you $1,000 and everything goes to them, right? And the way that I'm still in the process of working out which is my favorite out of all these. It's a balance between your time and money. So you can
Yeah.
make I guess you probably make more money from just selling individual leads, but it's a lot more effort than a
Right.
flat fee, right? So, and the reason that I've given you this kind of detail in the answer is that your question about how do you define the cost varies, the value varies depending on how you're doing it, and also on how easy the sale is going to be. So it's going to be pretty easy to sell someone on a commission deal because
Right.
there's no risk to them, right? They're like,
Yeah.
if you say you do some work, you give them 10%, like, yeah, sure, why not? The risk is on you to create the business and then actually get them to pay you, which is,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. As if you say to them, okay, I've given you 3 leads for free, now give me $1,000 a month, which is a kind of fairly traditional approach. Yeah, you can sell those, but they're harder. So, but the way I would work it out in terms of value is to firstly have a very good idea of what the value of an average service would be. So let's take tree services as a common one. In the UK, an average tree service job is, let's say, £500. That's about $600, I think. It's probably fairly accurate for the US,
Yeah.
on average. So out of every 10 calls they get, they need to know their conversion rate. Again, work on an average conversion rate for the industry. So what by conversion rate, I mean how many out of every 10 calls that they get, how many do they actually land the job? People will give you varying numbers. If they're clever, they'll say one, if they know what you're doing.
Mm.
If they're trying to pick themselves up, they'll say I get 70%. Like for
Yeah.
me, I always work on about 30%.
Sure.
And I've got like clients actually in niches where their conversion rate seems crazy low. It might be like 1 in 20. And I've got ones where it's more like 80%, right?
Mm.
So it's a big range. But if you go 1 in 3, 30% roughly, that's going to give you a good negotiating position, I think. So 10 calls, you're going to land 3 or 4 jobs. Okay. That means average job value, say £500. So that's out of 10 calls, they probably make, say, £1,500 to £2,000 in turnover, in business revenue.
Right.
And then if you are able to, you want to try and get to what their net profit is going to be on that. So for every job, again, let's say 50% is net
Yeah.
profit to them. So they've paid their guys, they've got the machines, 50%.
Yep.
So out of that, say £2,000 for every 10 calls equals £1,000 in profit.
Yeah.
So an average site for me, if I'm doing 30 leads a month, that's pretty solid. So you go 30 leads is going to do you £3,000 in net profit in your business. So you pay me £1,000, everyone wins. That's kind of the process you get to. Now, you're not always going to get there with everyone. You're not going to get the numbers right for everyone. And not every business owner is going to see the value because you need people that have the teams and the capacity and the sales teams to actually for that additional business to actually be additional value to them,
Yeah.
not just more work they're trying to do.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of the process that I go through to try and get to a number.
Okay. That's super helpful. Well, Gary, this has been super informational. Really appreciate your time. And I hope everybody got a lot out of this. For those that want to kind of follow you, I know you're pretty active on X. What's your handle over there?
Yeah. So Gary Osburg at the Truthful SEO. Yeah, I'm on there. You can DM me. I think my DMs are open. I don't know how it works, but yeah,
No.
I think you can. I see a lot of stuff come through.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time.
You're welcome. Good to speak.